Hey, welcome to IncrediChat on IncrediCom with Grazia. Look at him. Peace, brother. Yeah, what's up? Anyways, hello, welcome to IncrediChat. I know Grazia is shaking his head. Tonight, as always, we got another great show. And this week, and I meant to post this earlier, this week we're really focusing on some great writers. Great writers is our focus for this week. So tonight we have the first of our two guests. Our guests this week are Robert Sodaro tonight and Joe Caramagna on Thursday night. So these guys have quite a repertoire behind them, and they're good friends of us here at IncrediCon and IncrediChat, and they've done our shows. And when we return, they're looking forward to being back with us. Hopefully we'll be returning in the next couple of weeks with something. Stay tuned. But folks, let's welcome in. Grazia, do the intro.
Oh, we got Bob Sodaro coming on. So let's say hello to Bob. Hey, Bob.
Graz, you got to fix the share. You got so much better screen, Graz.
One second, I almost forgot something. I'll be right back.
All right, yeah.
Well, in the meantime, let's find out how we can contact Bob and see all his fun stuff.
Yes, and I believe you can order some of this stuff from him. So, guys, what we're going to be doing now, what I think is really, really important, and before Bob gets back on here, I think this is really important. We need you to support all of our artists and writers and everybody that's on there. And we're gonna, here's the link for Bob. So if you need him, if you want to get some of his stuff, check out his things. Like I said, we're gonna be doing this for every show going forward now. We really need you to support the arts. And I know we're in. Hey, there he is. And I know we're working on maybe getting some prizes going for some of our longtime listeners too. So spread the word, get more people on board to watch IncrediChat, and you never know what's gonna do. So anyways, let's turn it over to Bob Sodaro.
Hey, Bob.
Sorry, I wandered away like that. I wanted to impress on anyone. Yes, you should be wearing masks. Yes, we're social distancing, but wearing masks. So, and this is a homemade mask that my girlfriend made for me. It was from an old pair of Spidey pajamas that I. Okay.
I had my girlfriend make me a mask.
No way.
Yeah. So there we go. How you doing, guys? Hey, it's good to see you guys again. By the way, IncrediCon has been a lot of fun for me. I'm sorry you guys had to cancel the last one. I understand why you did, but I had like 4 or 5 shows set up for the early part of this year, and everything got sandbagged, including. And the thing that's most upsetting to me is my mother's 90th birthday party, which
I'll be right back.
All right. Sorry. Continue.
No. Wait. Whoa. There we go. Yeah. So all these things got sandbagged on me, but turns out that I have like a real job, unfortunately, and it's working in a local liquor warehouse, and we've been deemed essential workers here in Connecticut. And I totally understand that, because if you had to be locked in your house with your family for 2 months, you'd want to drink pretty heavy too.
Well, I was just going to say, liquor has been pretty essential in my diet during this whole pandemic.
Well, I think liquor is essential in your diet no matter what, though.
Yeah, same. But anyway, liquor sales have literally gone up 700%.
Wow.
Yeah, nationwide.
And that's a good time to be investing in. Anybody investing should invest in liquor companies right now. There you go.
I'm seeing liquor ads on TV again. I've never seen. I mean, it's been a really long time. I mean, beer ads are de rigueur. They're always there, but I'm seeing wine ads. I'm seeing spirits ads. It's really weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of that silliness. But listen, I'm always entertained by the people who say, "Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time," and that and praising me as a writer. And in no false modesty, I never really felt it. I'm just doing some. I love comic books. I absolutely love and adore comic books. I've been reading them since the early '60s. I've been working in the field since the early '80s. Mm-hmm. As a journalist, and in the mid '80s. I wrote, I created Agent Unknown for Daniel Aubert's Renegade Press, and we got 3 issues out, and then nothing, because it was the black and white implosion. But after that, and then I don't know, around 2000 something, the I joined a group of creators over at CAG, and I started writing comics again, and I haven't looked back. I actually stepped away from the field in 95, 96, when basically the market crashed. I was writing for virtually every comic magazine that was being published at the time, and after that, and I was at that San Diego con in '95, and then everybody stopped publishing, and I walked away from the field. I was like, all right, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And then in 2001, yeah, it was like 6 years later, the first Spider-Man movie came out, and I went, all right, I'm coming back in because Spidey's back, and that first movie was just astounding. I've been, in addition to writing comic books, I've also been writing movie reviews. I've been writing movie reviews for quite a long time. So that really brought me back the two passions of mine, comics and movies.
You know, Bob, I'm going to tell you, I read something by you in one of my favorite new prints, one of your most recent writings. You wrote the foreword for Bronx Heroes and Trumpland. Shout out to our buddies Tom Siaka and Ray Felix. But yes, you wrote the foreword to that as well, so that's fun.
Hold on, you mean this? Wait.
Oh, what is that? Yeah, there we go. Yes.
Bronx Heroes in Trumpland.
Yeah, it was actually funny. The funny story behind that, Ray wrote the story and Tom illustrated it, and then Tom, and it was like a comic book size thing, and then Tom apparently sold the concept to a Canadian company.
Yeah.
And they said, oh, great, so you're going to give us a graphic novel? And Tom said, okay. And back to Ray,
he did.
Like, no, man, I got, we got 20 something pages. They want 100. So Ray locked himself in a closet for a weekend and drew all the rest of the art.
Well, he actually worked at the same camp I work at during the summer last year. Yeah. And on his downtime, he would bring comic pages in to finish, so he can work on his downtime on lunch,
I'm halfway through it.
Ray's a wild man. He is seriously my superhero. He took on Marvel and DC over the use of the word superhero, and won. He actually beat Marvel. Marvel and DC tried to, back in the 70s, they copyrighted, they trademarked the word superhero.
Yes.
And two companies can't trademark the same word, and they can't trademark it in every variation. They had superhero, super hyphen hero, super one word, hero second word, everything. And you could not make sneakers called superhero. You couldn't make a soda called superhero. They had it all locked down, and they just were beating people to death with this thing. And Ray created a comic called World Without Superheroes, and they said, nope, you can't do that. And he went, wait, it was being used beforehand, way before you guys were using it. You can't copyright a word that's in common usage. And he beat him, and he gets to publish his book.
Yeah.
Ray's awesome. I love that guy.
Yeah.
So, actually, he's...
we all do.
Yeah. He's actually finishing off I wrote a short story that was going to go on the Bronx Heroes book, and we had an artist, and then it got stalled, and then we lost the artist, and it's been half done for like 10 years, and now that when Ray was locked in with pandemic, after he finished the Trumpland book, he went and he started doing the finishing off my story. We have the first 5 pages, and he's finishing off the last 5 pages. And now we actually scored a Tom Ahern is going to do future issues. I think he's going to do some work on it, and he's going to do more installments of the story, because I already have 2 more stories I've already written.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's some of my first. It's superhero work, and I've been doing comics off and on for the last 10 years, and most of it has been horror, it's been some comedy, some random stuff, and this is I'm doing some superhero stuff for Red Anvil, I'm writing the Cyberines character, which is Joe Martino's stuff.
Yeah, I know the stuff. I was actually going to ask you about Red Anvil later. So.
Okay, well, we can do it. We can do it later. We can do it now. But yeah, so I did some. I'm doing Cyberines. I wrote 3 issues of that. 2 of them have been published. The 3rd one, I don't know if it's been published yet. He's got kind of an erratic schedule. And I also did 2 issues of Owl Girls, which is on temporary permanent hiatus, unfortunately.
Okay.
Well, I'm hoping to bring it back, but
well, since we brought up Red Anvil, I was going to ask you about some of the stuff that you work on. And I'm somewhat familiar with the Red Anvil books. I actually enjoy them. It's an independent. A lot of your work, obviously, is in the independent field. So, you said it was Owl Girls. It was called
Owl Girls, yeah.
And the cyber, how do you say it? Cyberines. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I know. What is it? The Mighty Titan. I've read.
I've been editing the Mighty Titan for Joe.
Yeah.
And the War of the Independence for Dave.
Yeah, I got. I think I have all the issues. That was what, like 4 issues?
Yeah, 3-4 issues that came out. Sure.
Yeah, I think I have that. That was a fun one. Let me ask you, since you worked on that one, how did you like editing all these characters, or just at least seeing all these characters from God knows how long ago and been around?
Yeah, it was Dave's idea. He was kind of bootstrapping it off of the Civil War, Marvel Civil War. That's when it started, and it's taken this long because he had to get all the rights from he had to get people sign off on it. He had to get permission from all these creators. He had to get them to draw their own stuff or agree to whoever did draw it. A bunch of people signed on. A couple of people dropped out after, and those pages will be redrawn. Yeah, really, really odd stuff. Actually, 2 of my characters appeared in the background of issue 3, I think. My Wolf Girl.
I remember when it was being put together, when he was looking for stuff, he offered people certain certain benefits or whatever, or if you can get your character in there. But I think there was also a payment, if I remember correctly, that he asked for like, I guess it was to help go towards like printing costs or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't remember the exact thing, but I remember I was going to try to get one of my characters in there, and I ended up missing the deadline.
Oh, so sorry about that. Well, it's really funny. I was there kind of at the beginning, and I kind of bumped into Dave. I don't quite remember how we met. I remember meeting him, and he was like, "Yeah, you want to edit this?" And editing it, frankly, was all Dave, and I read through it to make sure the grammar and the syntax was correctly. So I was more of a copy editor than an actual editor. I wasn't involved in any of the planning. I just read through it and made sure it all worked out well. And same thing with Joe. I met Joe online, and he had me. He wanted me to write a backup story for one of the superhero books that he was writing, and I wrote the story, but it took the artist about a year to pencil the 8 pages. So Joe moved on without me, but I ended up getting that short story published in a book by Jim Main, one of the Main Enterprises books that. But that got me hooked up with Joe, and Joe asked me the same thing. You want to read through this stuff and help me out with it? And I helped him with some dialogue. I helped him with, just basically, again, making sure everything was spelled correctly and everything followed correctly. And then he asked me if I would write Cyberine, and I said, yeah, sure, and I did. So I wrote issues 1 and 4, and he had issues 2 and 3 that he already wrote and had published sequentially other places. And I also edited some of his Shadow Flame book and of course the Mighty Titan.
Yeah, actually, since you brought up Jim Main, I have to say I actually drew one of your stories.
You did. That was hilarious.
I don't remember this. I don't remember the entire story, but it was like a Christmas.
It was yes. Jim said, "I have a Christmas themed story. You got to write a Christmas story." And I went, "I don't have a Christmas story. I have a Christmas joke though." And he said, "Well, what is it?" And it was a story about how Santa was he was having a really bad Christmas. The elves went out on strike. Rudolph had a bad cold, and the sleigh broke down. And so he ended up getting the angels to help him finish off the toys, and they were packing all the everything in the sleigh, and the sleigh broke down, and everything spilled on the ground. They had to pick everything up and stuff it back in his bag. And one little angel said, "Hey Santa, this Christmas tree it fell out of the bag. Where do you want me to put it?" And that's how the angel wound up in the Christmas tree.
Yeah, I gotta say that one. I loved the joke that you had, the story. I really enjoyed drawing it because I don't know if it was your idea or Jim's idea in there, but there was supposed to be a room that Jim was in. It was supposed to be, I think, Jim in the story, and it was just nothing but like looking at like my studio, just toys and all this stuff all over. So I got to put all these little hidden gems in there, so it was very fun to draw. But I will say I started drawing it. This was 2011, and I remember this because I was when I had my second kidney transplant. And I wasn't at my 100%, and I had to ink it. I penciled it all out, but I had to finish inking it. So some of my inks I'm not 100% happy with, but I sat there and just tried to focus. That was like one of the first things I worked on to kind of deal with all the issues I had being sick. So it was like this really nice piece for me. So that's a very memorable comic for me because it was almost like a meditation. It was a little hard at times because my hand was very shaky. It was like this on the med, so I had to sit there and force myself, hold the pencil, hold the pen properly, and do all this stuff. It was a great like focus piece for me. So I'm really proud of the work I did there.
I didn't realize you were going through that at the time. I'm really glad that that helped you focus.
Yeah, it was great. So other independent companies, books that you've worked on that you really like that you want to mention? Anything?
Well, I did 3 comics for Pronto, and I did a couple. I contributed to a couple of their phrases to pages, which was a fun exercise. They would have a phrase, and then you had to draw, and they would team a writer and an artist together, and then they had to draw a page with that, whatever that phrase was. And I did 2 of those, and one of them actually won. One and won second place or something like that.
Well, and we won together. I actually, that's where I met you, was phrases.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And we got teamed up, and I did something. It was about, I remember we did a drawing about something with a comic book company, and we called it Marble Comics or something. And I'm drawing a blank. That was the first place winner. I remember that because that was before I went into being an art director for Pronto for a while.
Oh. And I think I did one with Ramon Gill.
Ramon's awesome, yeah.
Yeah, Ramon's great. And I did. It was another one I did. I think I did 2 or 3. I don't remember. Yeah. It's sad when you did something. But here's actually one of the fun things that you talked about, that my nephew, who is just a couple years younger than my son, when he was about 14, 15 years old, he started getting into comics. And I was always his favorite uncle because he liked Spider-Man and I like Spider-Man. And his father, my brother, was buying him online, just buying him boxes of comics. You know, he had no idea what he was buying to buy stuff. Yeah. And of course he ended up with some good stuff and some not so good stuff. And he got one of the boxes that he bought had something about the death of Superman in it. And my nephew really liked this. And he said, let's see if we can get the whole collection. So he went around and he found a bundle of Death of Superman stuff. So he got it, and I was talking to him on the phone, and he said, yeah, we got all this really cool Death of Superman stuff, including this one magazine that's all about the death of Superman. And I went, oh, that's an interesting thing. Do me a favor. open the book to the title page, to the content page, and just go down and just read the content and just check out and he's going, hey, you have an article in this book. Yes, I do. Because it was Wizards. It was Wizard. And so he calls my nephew and he goes, hey, Tonio, look at this. Uncle Bob has an article in this book about Superman. That's when I became his absolute favorite uncle.
that was for, and you said that was for Wizard.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed with them back in, was it 2001 or so?
Mm-hmm.
And I was offered a job. Unfortunately, though, we couldn't agree on money because they were in Congers, New York, I believe, which is, over the Tappan Zee Bridge, and I grew up in Mahopac, New York. So I was trying to get a little extra for the toll to get down every day, and we just couldn't agree on a price. So I passed on that. But yeah, I would have been doing production art for them.
I had interviewed with them as well. I got called in when Joe Yanarella took over as editor,
Mm-hmm.
and he called me in and he said, "You're working for everybody in the field." And I said, yes, I am. I was literally working for every comic magazine in the field. And he said, I want you to work exclusively for us. And I said, okay, this is what I make for everybody, all the people that I work for. I added up, what I had been making in the last year. And I said, this is what I make. So this is what you're going to have to guarantee me. He said, I'm not going to guarantee you that. I can't guarantee you that. I said, so you want me to take a pay cut and work just for you? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
And because of that, I didn't. And then right after that, they cut back all their magazines, and he tried to find me. And I called him up. I said, dude, you owe me all this money. I gotta. Well, we only pay in publication, and we cancel all the publications. I said, yeah, but I did all the work. And I had 36 cover feature articles in 24 months. I'm not some guy who wandered in. I'm your top writer. You got to respect that.
Yeah.
And I got you got to give me a kill fee, man. You're killing me here. This is my rent. And I got about a half or a third or something like that. And then I stopped getting work from them. And a couple of years later, I ran into the publisher and said, you kind of screwed me, man. I did everything you asked me to, and you kind of screwed me. And he went, yeah, we kind of did, and I'm sorry about that. So let's see if we can get you more work. And that right after that, basically everything fell apart for Wizard. And talking to a guy who had been working there, Buddy Scalera, he said, yeah, you probably got screwed the least amount of anybody who worked for Wizard at the time. And no disrespect to the guys who worked there, because I worked with a bunch of really good guys there.
Yeah, no, I knew a few of them. They were really good people. And I don't, when I had to say no to the gig because of the pay, I was upset because I read Wizard for years. I loved the magazine, and I was excited to work for them. But then from just a business point of view, I'm like, I couldn't do it. And I wasn't anti that magazine. I still bought it. It was. Oh
yeah, I still got it too. I mean, it was, yeah. I think it was market conditions more than anything else that really screwed them. Yeah. The whole market changed, and again, like I said, in '95. The market crashed. I mean, all the magazines that were publishing stopped publishing, and everything went from print to online after that. And the whole paradigm had changed with now. Hey, if a blog site pays you, you're getting paid by the hits. So 1,000 hits is 10 cents or something like that. And, you're not making any money.
Yeah.
So there's really no point to it on some level.
Yeah, no, I understand. But that's the thing for, just speaking as professionals who I do art, you write, we're creators and we're creatives. And at the end of the day, and this isn't anything to blame any company out there, but they try to get the most work out of you for the least amount of money. No one really wants to pay. And, and I've seen that in graphic design. I've seen that in animation. I don't knock companies for it. I just either turn down a job or say, okay, I'll do it. Sometimes it depends. I need the money. I'll work for it. But,
you must have seen it was on Facebook. The 5 top jobs and the 5 least important jobs.
I shared
and
that.
the least important job was an artist, and we're all, and everybody in the field was like, okay, you realize you had to hire an artist to do the graphic. So yeah, we are kind of important here. What are you talking about? You know, and it's like, what was it? Bill Gaines, who was the publisher of Mad Magazine for years and years. He did an interview with the Comics Journal, and he said, writers are everything. If it wasn't for writers, we'd have roller derby. And no disrespect to roller derby, but you don't have to write it. You just roller derby, And I'm like, that's awesome, man. Here we are. We're stuck in our houses with nothing to do. What are we going to do? We're going to read a book. We're going to watch TV. We're going to listen to the radio. Coloring books. The arts are pretty important, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to give a shout out, say hi to Scott and hi to Joe. They both said hi to the Mikes, meaning me and Mike. They must have wrote that earlier before Mike took off. I do apologize. I didn't see them until now. Joe and Scott, they're both longtime viewers of us, and
cool.
They're good. They're good people.
Okay, Scott.
So if you have any questions for Bob, just write them down. We'll ask him. He's got some great knowledge behind him here.
Somebody pointed out to me a few years ago that I've been writing as a journalist in the field of comics. It's me, it's Heidi McDonald, and it's Peter Sanderson. We're the longest running journalists in the field of comics. We all started about the same time. And and everybody else who started writing as a journalist either went into publishing, or they left the field, or they went on to actually write comics, and stop being a journalist. So, and I'm still doing it, and I'm still loving writing about comic books. I write about them, and right now I'm writing about them on where am I writing it? On Hub. Yeah.
On the Hub one, the hubpages.com?
Yeah, Hub Pages.
Hub Pages? Okay, I have to check that out. I don't think I've ever been on your Hub page.
Yeah. Wait, where am I? I lost the feed. Oh, there I am. Okay. Yeah, on Hub Pages. I write about movies and I write about comics on Hub Pages.
Well, go ahead.
You asked me earlier about comic books that I've been writing that I'm really happy about. I did 3 comic books for Pronto. Oh wait, hold on. I got to do the shout out to my boys over at Pronto.
Oh, there got the shirt on. There you go.
I'm wearing my Pronto shirt.
Yep.
And Dom Soprano, he's a great guy. He's been doing it. So I have 3 books that I did for.
Let me give you the screen so we can see them better.
Okay. I got 3 books. Which one? This one is. Where am I? Where's the camera? First in Flight. This is a story about Gustav Whitehead, a real person who lived in Fairfield, Connecticut, and flew 2 years before the Wright brothers. I'll get back in a second. This is Hot Girl and Totally Hot Girl. Where am I? There we go. Let's not cover the girls up. This is good girl art and bad puns. And the good girl art is there, so you'll read my very, very bad puns. And this is Perceptions. Just kind of a very psychological book. And the artist was Dave Quillis, and he wanted to work with me. He was a Pronto guy. He wanted to work with me, and we batted around a couple of story ideas, and finally nothing worked. And I went, you know what? I got this great idea, and I wrote this story specifically for him, and I gave it to him, and I said, just illustrate it. I don't care. I'm not giving you any direction other than this is sort of what's happening on each page, and draw it, and when you're done, I'll dialogue it. And he did, and I did, and it worked out really well, and I'm very, very proud of that book. Dave has like the most amazing artwork. I just want to show you some of the art.
Yeah.
He shows basically it's white on black, and
very nice.
He does his art at shows. I haven't seen him in a while. I think he moved to California, but his art was. I would watch him, and it's such amazing art. And he gets into it. His hands get all blackened up because of the way he's writing. And again, this is drawing rather. And Hot Girl and Totally Hot Girl, a couple of real life friends of mine, and they were eye candy at a booth and some years back. And I kind of said, you girls should dress up as the Dynamite Duo and go out and fight crime. Wait, this is a really good idea. Someone should write the story. But wait, I'm a writer. I can write this story. So I wrote this really funny story, and I showed it to both the girls, and they really, really liked it. And I found an artist whose style was amazingly cool.
Yeah, I was going to ask who the artist on that, because it looks familiar to me.
Yeah, it's wait a minute, Roy Cutting is the artist, and yeah, he's got some really amazing art. He's got just such a perfect style, and it's funny because when I pitched the story and the artist to one of the publishers I was working with, he went, "Yeah, that guy's no good," and I went, "No, that guy is perfect. That's exactly the look I'm looking for this thing." I met this guy at a movie theater. He was working as an usher at a movie theater, and a friend of mine who was working who was also working there. He said, "Oh, Roy writes. He's an artist. And they showed me his art, and I went, "Absolutely, I can get you published. I love this stuff." So Roy did the art for me, and I'm writing another story, a backup story for it, and hopefully I'm going to get that done to Roy and out to him eventually, and we're going to get a second one out.
Oh, that's awesome. But
the final one, First in Flight. Justice Whitehead was a real person, and he built a plane and flew it, in Fairfield, Connecticut. And this is this guy named Andy Kosh. He was my science teacher when I was in high school. And when I was in high school, Andy was a parachutist, and he flew ultralight planes. And he found out about Justice Whitehead at the time, and I learned about it right around when I was in high school, just shortly when I got out of high school. So I've known the stories for like 40 years. And I said at the time, wow, that would make a really good comic book. And it took me about 35 years to write the comic book. And I published it in a large anthology with other CAG writers. And when that book went out of print, I decided when I hooked up with the Pronto guys, I said, you know what? I got this story. This is mine. I'm going to use it. So I pulled out my pages, and I went and I published, and I did a self-publishing, and I did to discuss the book. Now, the really cool thing is there's a museum here in Fairfield where a Fairfield museum, and my niece actually works there, and they have a Gustav Whitehead display in there. So I went in, I met the director, and I gave him a copy of the comic book, and they have it on file, and they have a gift shop, and they're going to sell now. They just reopened now from the pandemic, and they want to sell copies of the Gustav Whitehead book in their in the store.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and Utopia is an alternative shop. It's like a head shop. They sell art and stuff. There's one here in Norwalk, and the guy who manages it is the grandson of Andy Kosh. And so I get to wander over there and go, "Hey, Bobby, listen, your grandfather, I got a comic book, and and you want to sell my comic book here." So I don't know if he's going to do it, but I'm hoping he will sell some of the copies of the comic.
That sounds cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I also, when I was living in Virginia for a couple of years, so I gave copies of each of these comics to 2 or 3 comic shops down in Virginia that are selling them. So
yeah. I wanted to ask you said you do movie reviews, and I'm assuming they're mostly comic book based movies, or you just do movies in
general, but I do make a point to review comic book movies. And we were talking about before, I've been watching the HBO series Watchmen, and as I told you, I watched the first one 2 months ago when the pandemic hit, and my local cable company made HBO free for a couple of weeks, and I got to watch the first episode of Watchmen, and I was really confused by it because it wasn't the comic book that I remember. And I was like, this is stupid. I don't like it. But everybody keeps talking about it. And with what's going on with the Black Lives Matter movement right now, everybody, HBO made it available again. I went, you know what? I want to go back and watch the rest of it. So I watched. There's 9 episodes. I watched 8.5 of them, and and it's amazing. It really is. It's very layered. It references the first, references the comic book and makes correct references to the first comic book. And it goes off on a different tangent, quite frankly, because that book was written specifically to deal with a specific issue at the time. And this one is dealing with another specific issue. And interestingly enough, they they go back. They refer to the comic. They don't refer to the movie at all. And I will be honest with you. I like the ending to the movie better than I like the ending to the comic.
Okay.
Because I thought the ending to the comic was, no disrespect to Alan Moore, stupid. I didn't understand all of a sudden there's this space squid in the middle of Times Square, and I'm going, wait, what? And so I didn't get it, and I really liked the ending of the movie. I thought the movie was just perfect. It was a most excellent Zack Snyder film, and when he did a great job on that, he did a great job on the 300, the follow up to the 300, the Persian Gulf War thing. That was okay. It wasn't as powerful as the 300, but it was still pretty good. But then the problem I have with Zack is he keeps making the same movie with just different characters, and it doesn't quite. Not all superheroes are Watchmen. Watchmen is a grim take on the superhero motif, and you got to understand that Superman is bright and shining, and Watchmen is dark and grim.
Yes,
and there's that.
I agree there.
So anyway, the TV series is referencing the comic book, and some of the characters who are in the TV show are the characters from the comic, and that show back up again, and you go, oh, well, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So
yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I do want to. It's on my list. Like I was telling you, I've been watching Doom Patrol. I haven't had a chance to see it. I have the DC app, and it's on HBO Max. So I was like, okay, let me just check it out. And I watched the first episode months ago. It was like free on YouTube or free on whatever. And I watched it. And I'm like, this was really good. But I had no urge to watch the others at the moment when it came out. So now I'm finally sitting down. I don't know if the new season is out yet on the DC app, but it's only, I think, like 15 episodes. I'm in episode like 7 or 8 right now of season 1. It's actually pretty good, but like I was saying, I knew the Doom Patrol from guest appearances in comics. I rarely read a Doom Patrol issue, so I don't know how much it's like the comic. Obviously, I know the characters, and they're the characters from the comics. I don't know how much realistic. I have seen Easter eggs in there that I'm like, oh, I know that, or I know that, which has been pretty good. I'm also really enjoying the Stargirl series that's on the DC app, and they show it on CW. I find that to possibly be the best, like, CW superhero show.
I didn't watch. I came in late to the CW universe, and I started catching up. They all seem pretty much the same on some level. It's a hero with a group of heroes, and there's the smart guy, there's the woman, there's the backup superheroes, there's the and there's the buddy, there's the black guy, there's the yada yada. And I'm watching them, and I'm going, everybody fights the same way. They all have the same fight trainer, and they all fight the same way. And I'm going, but it was fine. And I was enjoying it, and watching it. And then they did the Crisis on Infinite Earth, and I watched it. I waited for them to all come out before I watched it, and then I watched them all to get, a gang watched it, and then I stepped back for a little bit, and I started watching the ones after it, and I'm as confused as all get out. I can't follow it anymore, and I literally stopped watching them months ago.
I am at the point where if I don't watch next season of any of the shows, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I will say, though, I do enjoy the Legends. I think Legends of Tomorrow is a fun show. But I don't need to watch Flash anymore, Supergirl, Batwoman, any of those.
One I'm really, really enjoying, and I'm very upset that Ivy Rose is her name, I guess.
Is it? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know her name.
I'm sorry, I may not think it's her, but the gal who's Batwoman, leaving the show, and I'm very upset about that because I thought she was really good. I hope they get somebody good to replace her. I don't know, but I really did enjoy the show.
I couldn't get into it. No? I tried. I wanted to like it, and I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes, and then I just said, I'm done. I just couldn't. Yeah. I couldn't do it. I
think I was really enjoying, and then I kind of missed a bunch of episodes, and I'm confused because there's a foreign nation invading the city of Freedom,
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, where's the rest of the government? Why are the other superheroes not? What's going on? And I'm confused by that again. But I really like it. I wanted to see, and I missed the episode. I got to go back. The episode I really wanted to see was where Trevor Von Eaton and Tony Isabella showed up.
Mm-hmm.
I met Trevor, and Trevor's an amazingly cool guy. I really got along with him. I like him a lot. And I met Tony, and Tony's a really nice guy. And actually, it's funny, when I first met Tony in '95 out in San Diego, and I'm wandering around. I see him. He's at a booth, and he's talking to some guy at the booth. And I went, Tony Isabella. I want to talk to Tony Isabella. So I walk up, and I stand a respectful distance away because he's talking to the guy, and I don't want to look like I'm eavesdropping. And I don't want to crowd him. And he turns around, he looks at me, and he goes, "Hey, Bob Sodaro. Hey, I want to talk to you." And I went, "Wow, he knows who I am." And I looked down and go, "Oh, I'm wearing a badge."
Yeah.
He didn't know me. He read my name and he knew who I was. So, but that was really fun. So, and then I met him at a Big Apple show last year, I guess it was, and we were sharing tables. He was, we're in the same row of tables, and so I got to talk to him on a lot over the course of the weekend. And
Cool.
I really like Tony. I mean, I've always liked his writing. I don't remember reading a lot of Black Lightning back in the day, but I know he's the guy, and it was, again, just fun talking to him. And the thing I liked about both Tony and Trevor was they treat me like an equal. I've been working in comics almost as long as they have, but they've been working in comics, and I've been working on the outside talking about comics.
Yeah.
So it's a little odd for me to be in the company of some of these guys, and who they treat me like I'm part of the group, and I guess yeah.
So let me ask you, since you've obviously watched a bunch of comic book movies, I'm sure you get this question a lot. Which is your favorite?
Oh, that's a good question. I can tell you what the one I hate the most.
Okay, what's that one?
That's Catwoman. My God, what a bad movie that was. That was serious.
I did not go to the theater for it. I tried watching it on TV with commercials. I just couldn't do it.
God, it was horrible. I really like Steel, but because it was Steel was fun, and I liked I can't remember. Why can't I remember his name? The guy who was this tech guy, and he built the hammer. And he goes, "Yeah, I really like this Shaft," and it was Shaft.
Yeah.
But and everybody kind of laughed at him in the group on camera, and he looked at him and he went, "Why was that funny?" Because they were in on the joke.
Yeah.
I'm going to say I really like. You know what? I like the first Spider-Man movie. That was just an amazing film for me.
Are you talking about going back to like 2001?
Yeah, that first.
Okay.
The very first Spider-Man movie, because just seeing him swing off into space with the webbing, I went, "Oh my God, this is why I'm in. This is why I'm here." I thought that the Captain America Winter Soldier was easily one of the best movies, Marvel movies that they had made. Black Panther was awesome, and it was great. It was so good that I went back and I bought Panther's Rage, the collected edition of Don McGregor that really introduced us to the Black Panther and really built the Black Panther legend. And I went, "Oh my God, this is literally the first graphic novel." He was writing. He wasn't writing. People who write graphic novels these days, they write chapters, and then they pick them together and they go, "Okay, here's the story. It's a 6-issue story. You can put it in Barnes and Noble." He was writing a graphic novel before we had terminology for that, and his writing was lyrical. It was intense. It was heartfelt. It was emotional. He was telling a story. He was telling a story on so many levels, and then the words, the lettering became part of the art for the story, and it just the way it was designed, it was a whole package. And there's a meme that goes around, and people have been correcting it, but there's a meme that's been going around that said, "Yeah, Jack Kirby was writing Black Panther, and they said there's too many black people in it, and so you got to put some white people in it." So he had the Black Panther fight the Klan. Great story, except it was Don McGregor who was writing the Black Panther, and he's the one who put the Klan in it, and they went, "Yeah, no, you can't do that," and they ended the series.
Yeah. I got to ask you about one of my all-time. Now, I'll be honest. Of the Marvel movies, I think the three Captain America series are the best movies they made. But my favorite movie, and I get made fun of a lot for this, of superhero-based films, was The Phantom from like 94, 95. Remember that?
I don't remember actually.
With Billy Zane played.
I know about it. I just don't remember ever seeing it. I might have seen clips from it, but I don't think I've ever actually seen the Phantom.
Yeah, I'm a huge like Phantom fan. I mean, look, I have a pop figure right here.
There you go.
I got my other guy. Hold on, knocked over my droopy too. I got this guy here. I love the Phantom. I really do. So like when that movie came out, I was super excited. And they were, it was one of those things kind of toned down a bit, try to bring kids in, but had a really great nostalgia feel. And I went opening day, and there was like 5 people in the theater with me. It was so.
Hey, listen, I like the Dick Tracy movie.
It was funny. I was just talking to my wife about that. It came up somewhere, like on I think one of the streaming services, and I'm like, Dick Tracy, I can't remember if that was a good movie or not. She goes, you don't ever want to see it again.
You bought the ticket you bought for opening night was a T-shirt that had opening night ticket on it. And I bought it, and I went to the movie theater. You were supposed to wear your T-shirt to the movie theater to get into the movie.
Yeah.
I did, and I wanted to take a picture of the audience all of us wearing our T-shirts, and only like 10 of us actually wore T-shirts, so I didn't actually ever get the picture that I wanted.
Oh, that's.
And by the way, I also liked Howard the Duck.
You know what? I don't remember it. I know I've seen it.
Okay.
But I saw it in the 80s. And,
so when it came out, and I managed to, before Steve Gerber passed away, I talked to him and I said, look, Steve, I just got to tell you this. I have my own personal theory about Howard the Duck. I think that Lucas really wanted to make an amazing movie. He really did, because he only knows how to make amazing movies. Because he's done Star Wars and American Graffiti and all that. And I said he really wanted to make an amazingly cool movie. And his accountant came to him before he made the movie, and it said, listen, George, you made just too much money with the Star Wars movie. You gotta make a bad movie to offset all the money you made. So he made Howard the Duck. Steve laughed. He thought it was pretty funny.
That's good. So,
and another reference, and it wasn't even a comic book reference. It was Crimson Tide. You've seen the movie Crimson Tide with Denzel Washington was in it, and I can't remember the other actor.
Yeah, I know the movie though.
But anyway, there's a scene. There was some dialogue. Some dialogue punching by Quentin Tarantino. He uncredited punched up some of the dialogue, and you can tell which dialogue he did, because there was a scene in there where they were talking, where two of the seamen got into an argument, and the argument was who drew Silver Surfer better, Jack Kirby or Mobius, and they got into a fight about it, and Denzel was like, it was Kirby. And the seaman was like, yeah, it was Kirby. And I'm going, of course, that's what Tarantino would say, but he's wrong. The person who drew it best was John Buscema, because John Buscema drew the Silver Surfer comic book. So the Silver Surfer that everybody has in their head is from the comic book, and that was John Buscema.
Yeah.
So I was like, really?
That's
anyway.
No. I like that little.
Yeah. So I mean,
I love little hidden things. My problem for me is I'll watch a movie, and I love movies, but I forget them so quickly. Like I can go, like you were asking me about Crimson Tide. I know I saw it. I can't remember anything about the movie though. Like there are certain movies that I have like memorized in my head, and it's like those are the ones stuck there. Like I can tell you almost line for line the entire movie to Highlander.
I've seen every Highlander movie that's been made. So in the cartoon.
I watched. I was a big fan of the series. That was. I collect the stuff. I even have copies of the swords in the other corner of my studio.
I even watched The Raven.
I watched.
And I watched some of The Raven, and then I watched it finally online. As I binge watched it, and oh my God, what a bad series it was.
Oh yeah, it was terrible. After like episode 4 or 5, I stopped.
Yeah,
and they only did one.
But I pitched when who was doing the Raven? Who was doing somebody was serializing a comic book. Which company was serializing it? I forget who. Oh. But I pitched to them. I said, listen, I want to write a Raven story because I can write a great Raven story. Because here's the story: it's a chick with a sword. What could be? And, you know, she was doing it, and you know, there was all these comic books with girls with swords. And I went, I can write this thing. I know. I love the series. I love the. Yeah. They were like, we got far as signing a DNR, and I don't remember whether we signed a contract or not. But I was all set to go, and nothing ever happened with it.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I still would love to do I don't know who's got the rights to it now, but I would love to do it.
I've read some of the Highlander comics. I mean, even though I felt they all had potential,
yeah,
never felt like whatever company it was, and I'm not knocking the company, but when they licensed those types of properties, I just felt they didn't know 100% what to do with them, and the stories just weren't where they could have been.
Part of the problem was I don't think they made the transitions from the past to the present well enough. They did it great in the movies, and in a TV show they did it great. They just didn't. They just couldn't get it right in the comic book for whatever reason. I don't know why. But.
No, I mean, but you know what? It is what it is. They're great properties. I'd love to see them come back. I know there's been talks on and off about bringing back the Highlander, like rebooting it, the series, as a movie.
Yeah, they're talking about Ryan Reynolds as the Highlander.
Yeah, I don't see.
He's a funny guy and he's good and he's got the sword thing going on, but the Highlander, it's Lambert. You know, he's got to be the you know.
You need somebody like
weirdo accent of his.
Yeah, but he can't see anymore to even play it. He has got his eye issues.
They killed him, so
yeah.
And he's too old.
Which I gotta say, I was very upset at that movie because they advertised it completely differently than how the movie actually was aired. You know, they edited, like the stuff made it felt like there was going to be some magical elements to it. Like the trailers were edited so differently than what we got on the big screen.
I did not see the first one. I saw the first one on cable, and I saw the subsequent ones in the theater. The second one, don't ever watch it.
I know.
It is easily every bit as bad, if not worse, than Batgirl. But for completely different reasons.
Yes.
But, oh my God! And the only value in it is that it kept it alive to get the Awakening, which was actually a really good one because it kind of harkened back to the original concept.
Yeah. So I kind of want to talk a little bit more about movies, but hold on. I just was looking at one of the things scrolling by, and I wanted to ask about that. Okay, freelancing.blogspot.com. Tell me about that. What is that?
That was my original blog, and I wrote about comic books and movies and stuff and whatever made my head spin. And I haven't spent a lot of time on there lately, mostly because I spend more of my time on Facebook these days. But what I've been doing is I did a bunch of articles for a website, and I am I'm reconsolidating my articles. I did one of the articles I did was on Ray, and I did another one on Keith Cross, who does Day Black.
Okay.
If you haven't read Day Black, read Day Black. Day Black is an amazingly black-centric vampire story.
Okay.
It's awesome. His artwork is just truly astounding. I kind of stumbled across it, and I wrote a couple of articles about it, and I kind of put them together. I did an interview with him. I'm republishing some of the stuff to give it more airtime, as it were, and also to consolidate some of my stuff under one roof. I'm also going to take some of the comic book stories I did in anthologies and put them together and republish them, but just me in the book, because I did a bunch of anthologies. So my work has appeared in a number of comic books, but with other people. And I always feel bad when someone comes up to my table and goes, I want, especially friends of mine, I want to buy something that you wrote, and here's a $5 comic, and I have 8 pages in it.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, thank you. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some of the stuff that I've done and I'm putting it together, and I'm getting ready to sign with a new publisher. I haven't signed yet, so we're not going to have that conversation just yet. But yeah, I'm like a heartbeat and a half away from signing it. We've already agreed the terms. He just has to send the papers over, and I can sign it, and then we can announce.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask about that was passing by is Mix.com. I've never heard of Mix. What is Mix.com?
Mix.com. It was another website, and basically it's kind of like Pinterest or Reddit, and you basically you get an article or something you like, and you post it. And I've been posting whenever I write an article. I post it to all my articles are posted to all of these different sites that are up there, and I put links up to them so that I can spread the wealth around. I did one of the pieces I did on my blog spot was an article I wrote after Harlan Ellison passed away about how Harlan Ellison ruined my life. Harlan Ellison ruined my life, and I'll tell you how.
Okay.
He wrote in Dangerous Visions 2, I believe it was, that a writer writes, and if a writer doesn't write, he's a fink and a heretic and a horrible person. And if you can't write books, write plays. If you can't write plays, write articles, write short stories, write novels, write something, because that's who you are. You have to write. This is your calling. This is the most important thing you could ever do. Yeah. And so I started writing. I had been writing a few things, and then I kind of I needed a job, and I got a job working in a factory, and it paid the bills, but it taught me. He said, if you can't write, go out and work with your hands. And work with your hands long enough till you can write, and then come back and show everybody that you can write. So this was my working in the fields, as it were, working in the factory, and I was writing, during that time I kind of hooked up with the guys over at Fantagraphics, the Amazing Heroes and Comics Journal, and so I was working with them, and I was at a comic book show, and Harlan was there, and it was in New York, and Harlan was there, and Harlan, at the time, he had been writing for the Comics Journal too, before he and Gary Groth got into their fight, and they still don't know what that fight was about or why, but that's neither here nor there. So he was still on friendly terms with Gary at the time. So he was standing on the floor, just wandering through, and there were all these young guys, and I say young guys, they were probably 30 seconds younger than me at the time. I was in my 20s, and he said, and they were going, "Oh, Mr. Ellison, oh, Mr. Ellison, oh, Mr. Ellison," and he was sucking it up because Harlan loves this shit, and not without just cause, because after all, he is Harlan. And I walked up to him and I said, "Harlan," like we were equals, and he didn't kill me. And I said, "I just wanted to let you know you saved my life." And he said, "Of course I did. How did I do that?" And I said, "Well, you wrote A Writer Writes." And I explained to him what I just explained to you. And I said, I took that, A Writer Writes, and I taped it to my typewriter so it would inspire me every day, so that I knew that that's what I was supposed to do. And he said, "When you get to where I am, you can put on your typewriter what I have on my typewriter." And all of a sudden, I'm a fanboy again. I'm one of the kids who was just talking to him. And you have to tell me. I need to know what Harlan Ellison has taped to his typewriter. And he said, "I'm a writer, and I don't have to take shit from anybody." And I'm not Harlan. I'm never going to be Harlan. I understand that implicitly. However, Harlan Ellison told me, "I'm a writer, and I don't have to take shit from anybody." And that stuck in my head. And it took me about 2 decades to figure out that's where my attitude comes from. I think that way because writing is important, and he said that, and Bill Gaines said writers are important, and Robert Heinlein said you have to write, you have to publish it, you have to keep getting it out there until it gets published. Yeah. And this is what powered my early career. And I was a demon. I wrote for everybody. I wrote all the time about everything. I get up, I write every single day, all the time, and it powered me into this odd niche I have where people think that I'm some kind of legend, and as far as I'm concerned, I'm only nearly famous. So, but
okay, I don't think you're a legend. So
listen, the other thing was a friend of mine, Dave Campetti, got me one of the coolest gigs I ever got. He got me writing, ghost writing several chapters to 2 of the 4 Stan Lee How to Create Superhero books that are published by Penguin. So I'm in issue 3 and I'm in issue 4. And to me, this is the coolest thing because I get to tell all my funny book friends, I'm Stan Lee and you're not. So I have one. I still never got a copy of the second one, but it's out now. And I'm badgering the original publisher or the guy who packaged the packager and the Penguin to get a comp copy. And maybe to buy some copies I can bring to shows and sell off or something. But yeah, my name's in it. You go look it up. I'm there. You can go to Amazon and do a search for me, and I'm in a bunch of books, man. I was impressed by the number of books that I'm in. I did a bunch of Marvel indices. I did a bunch of comic book price guides. Yeah, I got a lot of stuff out there.
I used to really enjoy reading those, the price guides and stuff. Yeah. They had some fun articles in there.
Yeah, we did some fun stuff. I was the features editor for like 15 years.
Yeah, I still have 1 or 2 somewhere behind me in that pile of magazines.
Yeah, I got a pile of books that are just mine. And I became over the years. In addition to being a writer, I became a graphic artist, and you're a real artist. I'm a graphic production artist. I'm the guy who can take the thing and make a poster out of it. I can put it together and make a magazine out of it. I self-published all these books that I got here. I put them all together myself, and I worked for Jim Main's Main Enterprises, and I've been producing books for him for about 10 years or so, and it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it, and
Jim's got some. I did a lot. He was my first actual published piece of art in '97. He was doing I have it somewhere in one of my. I have a drawer filled with all a copy of every book I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, God, I was a terrible artist. But back then I thought I did awesome. But it was about movie serials, and I drew Flash Gordon, like the Buster Crabbe style Flash Gordon, and I drew, I think it was the Captain Marvel movie serial. I drew like a scene from it or something, or my own interpretation of it. You know what it was? I drew extra long legs all the time, and I didn't realize that until a few years later. It wasn't that my proportions were too off. It was just I always made my legs look really long or really thick, and so when I look back at it, that's what I love. The upper body, I love the face. It's the legs.
Well, for myself, I look back in some of the early articles I wrote, and oh my God, was I horrible? Was bad.
It's I always tell my wife this sometimes. I'll be like, I'll finish a piece of art and I'll be like, I'm the greatest artist who ever lived. And then I look back at it 5 minutes. Oh, there's the mistake. There's a mistake. There's a mistake. And I'm like, I can't give this to anybody. This is terrible. Well,
the beauty of writing online and posting online is I can post and I can look at it and I can go, oh wait, I have a typo there, and I can go back and fix it.
Yeah.
But it made me crazy when I did stuff for Amazing Heroes, and there was a typo in it, and it got printed in print, and it was like it would make me nuts.
I did a book. I self-published it, and it was one of my Plunger Pup titles. It was, and everyone tells me you have a spelling error, and they see it, and to this day I cannot see it in that entire. They tell me what page it's on.
That's funny.
To this day, I cannot see the typo in there.
Yeah, so. It's funny. I was I told you I worked in a liquor store, and I have it. So I took pictures of it. They had big 1-sheet posters, and it was and I don't know why, but there were 3 posters, and the background of the posters were yellow, and the people in the posters, there was a person. They were all pitching some wine, and the 3 or 4 people in each of the posters were all wearing yellow shirts or a yellow dress. And I looked at him and I went, and I was talking to one of the guys. And I went, I'm not a graphic artist. No, wait, I am a graphic artist. Why would you do that? And I'm like, no, I'm not even again, I sometimes I call myself that, but I understand the difference between what you do and what I do. And why would you do that? I would never do that. Everybody's bleeding into the background. You got to be able to have a differentiation. One of my best friends and writing partner, John Wilcox.
Yes, John, who I know, and let me just say, John will be on this in the summer. He might be part of Get in Tune. I don't know. Get in Tune's my own personal, where I interview artists and writers. IncrediChat is something Mike and I do together. So I don't know if it's going to be a Get in Tune thing or an IncrediChat thing, but when the time comes, we're going to meet up somewhere when we're allowed to all kind of be in public together and over in Connecticut there, and we're going to do a live thing off my laptop, and we'll both be on it together. And he's got some great stories.
Oh my God, John is one of the most fascinating, brilliant, entertaining people I personally know. He's just amazing. But he worked as a colorist for many, many years. Yeah, and basically worked for everybody. And John's a funny guy. He would say, there's too much green in your tie. And I would say, John, shut up. And he would, you got your tie is B23 green. And John, stop talking, because I'm going to stab you now. But I had a John story, and I forgot what it was but John, and so I work with John a lot on a lot of different things. We've written together a number of times for a number of years. And when we first started writing together, I was really, really jealous of John, because I was convinced John was a better writer than I was, in spite of the fact that I was a writer and he was an artist, but he could write better than I could. And I wrote and years went by, and finally we collaborated again. And I finally at that moment went, I think I'm a better writer than John is finally. And it's not a competition. It's just in my own head, because I finally felt that I reached the level that John was at, 10 years earlier, even though he wasn't a writer. Yeah. No, again, John's one of my dearest friends.
Yeah, he knows his stuff. I will say that. I was on the phone with him for maybe 45 minutes to an hour Saturday night. Yeah. Oh my God. I was almost, first of all, my mouth was just dropped by all the stories he was telling me. I was just like, oh my God. My God. And some of the stuff I was rolling on the floor for, because he's just that good of a storyteller. He's just fun.
He knew all of the Sunday cartoons that you grew up with, all the newspapers.
Yeah, the comic strips.
Yeah. Most of those guys lived in Westport, and John knew most of them. Go to their studios and hang out with these guys. And one of the funniest stories that I got off of this was, since these guys all lived in Westport, they would meet once a week at the train station, and there was a restaurant there, the bar. So they would meet there on Friday morning, and they'd give all their pages for the week to a runner. The runner would take all the artwork, go into the city, run to the various production houses, drop off the artwork, pick up their paychecks, and come back. And it would take him all day to do that. Meanwhile, these 5 and 6 guys are sitting in this bar getting potted.
Hold on 1 second.
Every Friday.
Let me bring Mike back. Let me bring Mike back on. You can finish the story. All right. Mike's back.
So no, that was in fact the whole story. And they would come back, and they would and all these artists, and they're all potted because they've been drinking all day long, and their guy would come back and here's your check, and they would go, okay, fine, and then they would all go home.
Yeah, no. A lot of them lived in Connecticut, and I was shocked by how many were there.
Oh, sure. I got to go into the studio of Stan Drake and I forget who he partnered with. John's got a better memory. My memory is shot. But yeah, he was. So I got to meet some of these guys, but through John. So it was kind of fun.
That's cool. So Mike's back. Hello, welcome back.
We're back. How's everything going, guys? Sorry, I was just taking
a lot of fun.
Oh, it's always a lot of fun with Mr. Sodaro over here. Listen, as I was away, like I was just really thinking, in my mind just about, and I don't know if you guys touched upon it, just the future of conventions. I'm really hoping.
We haven't even gotten to we just been talking, you know. We haven't even gotten to cons or many questions, to be honest.
Yeah, but just thinking about, you know, here in New York, the Hudson Valley, we're supposed to go into Phase 4 July 7th, I should say. So I'm hoping. I got some grand ideas.
That's cool. Let me go. I've got a bunch of my stuff has come out in print since then, and a bunch more is coming out again, even more. And so now I've been stocking up my books, and I guess you missed the story. My book First in Flight.
Okay.
Other way. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. First in Flight. This is a true story of Gustav Whitehead, who flew 2 years before the Wright brothers and lived in my hometown of Fairfield, Connecticut. The Fairfield Museum is going to is going to buy some copies off of me and put it in their gift store and sell them.
That's right. And you can do a signing there too.
I could do that. I might. You know, when I feel comfortable going out. Listen, I got to be honest with you. I'm not in a hurry to get outside. I work, like I said, I work all the time. Thankfully, I'm working overnight, stocking. It's a blessing and a curse. The blessing is I don't have to deal with customers. I don't have to talk to people. The curse is I have to get up in the middle of the night and go to work.
Gotcha.
But but nobody's there. There's like 3 or 4 of us in the store. I don't have to. There's no customers. We just come in, we stock the shelves, and we go home before the store opens. But when I come home, the first thing I do, I take off all my clothes. I throw them in the wash. And I jump in the shower and I shower. I don't go near anybody before my girlfriend. I got to shower first because I'm out in the world and she's been home, for most of this. So I'm not. I don't want to. We're in that terrible generation of we're susceptible.
Yeah.
So can I throw something out to the conversation tonight? And I know that this is more comic book related, but I really think we need to talk about this tonight. And I mean, obviously, Grazi and I, we do our IncrediChats. We talk about fan stuff, but you're in the comic industry.
Please.
And there's some pretty cool news that came out today. We don't know if it's rumor or confirmed, but do we want to talk about Michael Keaton returning as Batman?
Oh my God, that would be very, very cool. I think that would be awesome for him to return as Batman. I was not a big fan of him being Batman, and he did an okay job, for what it was. I think he was hamstrung by the Iron Man suit that he was wearing.
Gotcha.
But I liked each of the Batmans, and I feel really bad that Joel Schumacher passed away, and he did the last couple of Batmans, but. People like to blame George Clooney for killing the franchise, and I think Schumacher killed the franchise.
I think George Clooney was a strong Bruce. I think the movie was not the best movie, but I think as Batman and Bruce Wayne, George Clooney was great. I don't like Val Kilmer as Batman, but I think George Clooney.
I enjoyed Val Kilmer. He was one of my favorites, and I gotta be honest, I might be the only one not happy about Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. But again, of all, I don't like any of the live action Batmans, to be honest with you.
No, I agree. I think.
Hold on, let me finish. I like the old movie serial. I like the Adam West stuff, but anything that came after '89, I really didn't like. I didn't like the Chris Nolan take on it. No. I did like Ben Affleck as Batman. I thought he, for years I was saying he had the jawline, he had the look of what a Batman could be. I'm upset that he's no longer going to be Batman.
Yeah,
but I think.
I'm not so much upset that he's not going to be Batman. I am upset that Robert Pattinson is going to be Batman.
Yeah, well, I'm one of those guys. I want to see it first, but again, I've hated every live action. So
I did like the Val Kilmer Batman because he was the most athletic of the Batman. He did the most. Keaton didn't do. He stood there. He was Iron Man in a suit that didn't fly and have repulsor rays.
Yeah, I of all that era of Batman, Val Kilmer was always my favorite. But I always thought he was the best Bruce Wayne, maybe not the best Batman. Val Kilmer.
No,
great Bruce Wayne.
No.
All right, I have no dog in this argument.
But no, I think, and I mean, we don't need to spend a billion hours on this, but I think what's really cool because people have been clamoring for Batman Beyond. People have been like wanting a Batman Beyond movie for quite some time. Michael Keaton's 68 years old, and if he's coming back into this capacity, I mean, obviously he's not playing Batman, Batman as a young man. So I mean, they're saying Batman, but they might be setting up for Batman Beyond and him being old Bruce Wayne.
I think, well, it's supposed to be a Flashpoint movie, if I understand correctly. Yeah. And in Flashpoint, the Batman was Thomas Wayne, so he might be Thomas Wayne.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, they may finagle that and make that the 89 Batman and set him up as a futuristic, Batman Beyond.
Oh, yeah, no, there's lots of different things they can do. I'm not saying it's,
I mean, the main thing I think would be awesome now to bring Michael Keaton back into the fold. First of all, I think opening up, as much as I'm not a fan of the multiverse worlds and comic books and movies and things like that, I think this might be the way to save the DC film universe and television universe. And I mean, just bring 89 Batman back into the fold. And I mean, he's that Batman, that iteration of Batman. We may see Michelle Pfeiffer again, which would be really cool. And then obviously tying it into Batman Beyond, like that would be neat.
Listen, the only thing I'm going to add into this conversation at this point is I wrote many years ago, actually in 2005, an article about the once and future Batman, and I posted it. Actually, I think I wrote it before that, but then I reposted it on the on my blog, and I'm going to put the link in here right now, so you guys can see it. And I talk about the whole. I talk about Batman and the new Batman, the second wave of Batman, and the
Nolan Batmans.
Yeah, the Nolan Batman. Yes, exactly. That had not yet come out yet, and I was writing about the iterations of Batman I had seen before that, and talking about what I thought worked and what I thought didn't work. And what's his name? Who did the? Why can't I think of anybody's name here? Who did the first two Batman movies?
Tim Burton.
Burton, right. I think that he had made a comment that he said, there are some good Batman stories out there. These aren't two of them. He was style over substance. And he got Batman right in three very specific instances across the two films. And I'm not going to go into them now, but read the article and promote it and check it out. And I defend myself in my story. And this is one of my. You talk about things you write that you really like. This article here is one of the things I've written that I really like, and I think I really wrote it very well. So I'm very proud of this particular piece.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what else can we talk about? Let's But again, there's a good movie. And the other thing I want to talk about comic book movies is not all comic book movies are Marvel and DC. Not all movies are spandex-clad superheroes who want to wrap a beam around your head.
Hey, one of my favorite right here, Rocketeer.
Well, again, Rocketeer. Yeah, great movie, very good movie, very done well. But there's also movies like A History of Violence, The Road to Perdition, Whiteout. There's some good. Actually, there's a movie that's coming. It's on Netflix now, The Last American Crime, which I was not aware was based on a comic book movie.
I don't know either.
The movie Berlin that came out a couple years ago. That was a really good movie, based on a comic book movie. There was a Stallone Two Guns or something movie that was also based on. These are not superhero movies. They're comic book movies because they're based on comic books.
Well, I have a favorite movie that wasn't a comic book and it was about a superhero. And I don't know if Grazio remembers. Maybe you do, Bob. Hero at Large with John Ritter. Did you ever see that movie? Where he was like an actor and he played a superhero and he became like a real life hero kind of.
I remember the film. I don't think I ever saw it, but there's a couple of there's a couple of very violent movies that are hilariously funny. One with I think it's Rainn Wilson is the superhero, and
I can't think of the name of it. I know what you're.
yeah, there's that one, and then there's another one that's similar to that. I gotta tell you, I like Kick-Ass the movie. The first one was excellent. The second one was okay. I hated the comic book.
Gotcha.
I hated the comic book, but the movie was amazingly cool. And again, I'm not a big fan of Deadpool in comics because I find him cloying and annoying. The movie holds up, and it's amazing. And I think, and I owe it a lot to Ryan Reynolds. I think I'm more of a Ryan Reynolds fan than a Deadpool fan. But
yeah, I wasn't a fan. I wasn't even going to watch the Deadpool movie. It was one of those things that nothing better on TV, it was on cable, let me watch it because I don't like Deadpool as a character.
Yeah, and
I watched it, and I enjoyed the movie immensely. It was like with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I read the comic a little bit, but I wasn't super knowledgeable that when the movie came out, I really enjoyed it. It made me go back and read the comic. Now I'm not a huge fan of the movie compared to the comic.
Well,
Mystery
Men.
Yes.
Mystery Men. I never read the comic. I read the comic afterwards, and I liked the movie better than the comic. And I thought at the time that the Mystery Men was the most perfectly made comic book movie ever made at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael, you said earlier you forget the movie you saw. Feel my pain. I've literally seen averaged a movie a week for 30 years. I've been writing a movie column that long. When the movie theaters here shut down, my friend runs a local movie theater complex. He said, "What are you doing tomorrow?" "Nothing. Come on, we're going to watch the movies because they're closing the theater down. I have to hand in my keys." We spent the entire day and we watched 3 movies, and back to back. We just sat there and watched movies, and basically once a week. I go out to the theater and I check out at least one film. And there was a period of time where he was managing one theater chain, a theater complex, and a mutual friend of ours was handling another theater in the same chain. And so I would go to one theater and see 2 movies, and then 2 days later I'd go to the other theater complex and see 2 different movies.
Now the theaters are open in Connecticut, aren't they?
They're opening they opened Wednesday of last week, but I haven't been yet. I don't think we're gonna start going until next week.
Yeah.
But so they kind of got to get organized and plan. But again, we go, and as a rule, I go after hours, and there's nobody in the theater, so it's easy to go in and sit down and watch the movie because it's usually just there's either 2 of us or 10 of us.
Yeah.
In the theater, so it's a good way. And I got used to watching movies that way. And, I sit in the back, watch a movie, and it's like I'm the only one in the house. It's great.
Nice.
It's interesting. I think we're gonna wrap up here.
Okay.
So
Are you all right?
Who, me?
Yeah, you look like you're out of it. Are you drunk?
I'm a little tired. It's been a long day, but I will say this. Hold on. Let me show you. I'm going to move up close to the camera. I have incredibly heavy eyelids. My eyelids, if I try to look surprised, my eyelids do not move. My eyebrows will. You see? So my eyelids stay, but there are people whose eyelids actually go up or something. My eyelids are so heavy. I always look tired or high or something like that. People are like, "You look sick." I'm like, "No, I don't look sick. I may, but I'm just kind of into it." And the only reason I was saying wrapping up because we're almost at an hour and a half mark.
No.
I'd love to bring, Bob back and do some more. This was fun. I think we should do a
so I think we have
just
shows we could do with Bob. I think we definitely do one with John. Definitely.
Yep. Well, yeah, I was talking with John. John, we're gonna do one. We're gonna do a visit to a place up in Connecticut and do one together.
And the other one, I think, and Bob would have a lot of fun with this one. I know we would. Tom and Ray.
Yes.
Tom and Ray.
Oh,
yeah. We'll bring them all on. It'll be a blast.
Yeah, we did. So listen, is this this is still linkable? You can you send me a link for this. I'll promote it on all my social media.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, and guys, check out on the bottom, as we see it's scrolling, and like Bob's going to send out everything. Check out Bob's, all of his websites, his Facebook, his blog, his Twitter, all that good stuff. You know, support him, get his books that are out there now, and yeah.
So that was really cool. I got Ray Felix interviewed me a couple of weeks ago, and that got posted. I don't know if you saw that, but I sent that out a bunch of places, and then I sent a link of it to my son-in-law, my new son-in-law. My daughter got married earlier this year, so I really don't know this guy because they're both living over in Israel, and so I kind of wanted to, and I got to talk a lot about my past, my career, and how I got into comics, and how I got to being where I am, and I said, hey, watch it, see, this is who I am, and he watched it, and he said, oh, it was kind of cool, and I'm hoping he's saying it because he thought it was cool, not because he's still trying to impress his father-in-law, and I got to tell you, that's still a weird word for me to use.
Yeah. How long's it been? How many months?
Oh, they got married in February or March, something like that. They got married literally right at the beginning of right before the pandemic. Actually,
I was gonna ask because I know a friend of mine, sister got married, and they did it in their driveway, and everyone was like either sitting in a car, up on the deck, and there was like everyone was spread out. There was like maybe 20 people total at the time.
No, this was a full-blown wedding. This was a whole big thing, and they had everybody there, and because it hadn't really hit, and I wasn't able to go, but I did. They did live stream it, so I got to watch it on Facebook, and I sat with my mom, and I played for her, so we both got to watch it, which was actually kind of fun for mom. So in spite of the fact that I didn't get to be there, to me the good part of it was that if I hadn't been home, no one would have been able to show it. Mom wouldn't have had anybody to show it to.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
cool.
There's always good you can find, and that's my mom talking.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. So thanks for joining us tonight, Bob. It was fun talking with you. Always fun.
Mm-hmm.
I hope to see you soon when we're allowed to get out again.
Sure.
Well, I guess take it easy, everyone. Check out what's going on.
Grazi, what do we have coming up tomorrow night and Get in Tune?
Well, tomorrow night we're Get in Tune. I'm not sure how it's going to work yet. I've been talking with Dan Sen. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He does Argo 5. He does a lot. He's the writer and publisher of that. He's got a Kickstarter going on right now. I really want to bring him on, but he's having some issues with his computer and his tablet, so it might have to be a pre-recorded video that I'll just air, or I might just pre-record and do something else tomorrow night with someone else and pre-record with Dan when I can and just post it, because his stuff, I've been a fan. I get the digital copies from like Indie Planet of his stuff. Beautiful artwork in there. Stories are really good. But, if we can't do something live right away, like I said, I'll record it and just post it. But I'll have someone tomorrow if Dan can't do it.
And then
I'm also a co-administrator of a Facebook page. Back this crowdfunding campaign. Oh wait, that wasn't it. Hold on, was that it? No, that was. Yeah, I guess that is it. Okay. Yeah, that's it's a comic book. If you're doing a Kickstarter, an Indiegogo, post your link to me, and I'll put it up on our promotion page.
Oh, nice, very good. So
cool.
And I got Dan up there too. So
you got Dan. So yeah, he's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then Thursday night, Joe Caramagna, writer for DuckTales, Big Hero 6, Marvel Action, Frozen, all good stuff.
Yeah, cool. All the comics and stuff. So, all right, guys, we will see you later. All right.
Thank you again.
Thanks again. We'll see you guys. Have a great night.
All right. Yeah.